Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Dumb Laws from the Grave. I'm your host, Grave Knives, coming to you from the Grave's Court. Today, I'm going to tackle on a few little specifics, not so much the legalization of recreational marijuana, but some of the specifics that I think we all need to know about between what you can have, what you can't have, what can still get you in trouble, and absolutely, you know what? Another thing that I've heard a lot of people talk about is, they brought up the whole expungement. Once January 1st, 2020, everyone's going to get expunged, or certain limitations to that, but there'll be automatic expungements. My big question came, though, was what about drug paraphernalia for the use of marijuana? What about that? Because that's not something you can get expunged in Illinois, to the best of my understanding. And so things are going to change, and I definitely wanted to know. And I figured, since no one else was really talking about it, this would be perfect for me to examine and figure out the facts and try to see what is happening. So, with that being said, thank you for joining me. Let's see what they got.
I said lose and you're gonna have to go without. I said move and you can't never slow down. I said who wanna walk up on me now? I said truth, that's all I wanna talk about. I said I won't stop, and I do not. I said I'm done worrying about the time. I'm on the grind with a broke clock. No time on my stovetop. Boiling boy, I'm so hot.
Alright, so getting us started here is going to be some little excerpts that I took from sites. Why? Because it was just easier to run it rather than go to all the damn sites. However, I will be leaving all those sites into the description box below, so you can check them out. There's going to be a lot of information you can go check out for yourself, absolutely. But let's get started on how harsh Illinois is real quick with their drug punishments, and it is a rough freaking state. It's one of the the harshest, if you will, in the U.S. And as of June 30th, 2017, 372 people were serving prison sentences on cannabis charges in Illinois and 360 on parole, according to the Illinois Department of Corrections fiscal year 2017 annual report. Cannabis charges. 372 people in a freaking concrete room, small concrete room, with metal bars to look through. Oh, 360 more people on parole. That's just heavy as hell. Now, however, though, with our new legalization of recreational marijuana, which we are the 11th state to do so. However, we are the first state to do it through the legislative process and not a ballot initiative. So, but I think that has something more to say about the debt that Illinois is in. And they're like, yeah, tax revenue, come on. We'll go ahead. You go ahead and sell pot. We just need the money from it. Just a portion. Anyways, HB 1438 also includes expungement provisions for those arrested for marijuana possession prior to the new law. Those with convictions involving 30 grams of marijuana or less will have their criminal records referred to the State Prisoners Review Board, and then Governor J.B. Pritzker will for a pardon, as long as those convictions were not associated with a violent crime. That refers to if, murder, rape, sexual offenses, assault, violent crimes. Then no, you have to keep your pot charge because we're going to really stick it to them. I don't know. Who cares? I mean, if they got murder, is it really that much worse to have a marijuana charge? Actually, you know what? In Illinois, it damn near ain't too far off. So, anyways, if the governor grants the pardon, the Illinois Attorney General will seek expungement. Those convicted of possession of 30 to 500 grams of marijuana will also have the option of petitioning for expungement themselves, or local states' attorneys can pursue expungement for those convictions on a case-by-case basis. Now, that means pretty much, unless you're friends with a local state's attorney, you're going to need to get a lawyer for the 30 to 500 grams of marijuana. That's just marijuana. That's what I mean. Like, no one's really chatting about what, paraphernalia. And to me, that's kind of an important thing. I think that's pretty... I've been affected by that shit. So, yeah. I'm not... It plays such a huge role. It stops you from getting places in life. It really slows down your job career, job opportunities, and that's just... Plus, not to mention denies you other benefits that you possibly could qualify for if it wasn't for that little, little nick on your record. Now, in 2016, Illinois decriminalized the possession of marijuana, and I believe it was under 10 grams. It was decriminalized. The state has decriminalized marijuana to some degree. Typically, decriminalization means no prison time or record for first-time possession of small amount personal consumption. The conduct is treated like a minor traffic violation, at least the first time, which very well the second time it could be treated as a more, a stronger offense, and they could kind of revert back to what they were. Which was back in the day before it was decriminalized. You're talking you could have a joint, and I think it was like anything less than 10 grams was a minimum $500 fine and a misdemeanor. It might be a class A. I'm not for sure. I do know, as we're about to come up on here in just a minute, that the paraphernalia was way more harsh. Matter of fact, we'll just skip down to that real quick. The paraphernalia charge back in the day was a possession of drug paraphernalia. A person who knowingly possesses an item of drug paraphernalia with the intent to use it in ingesting, inhaling, or otherwise introducing cannabis or a controlled substance into the human body, or in preparing cannabis or a controlled substance for that use, is guilty of a Class A misdemeanor for which the court shall impose a minimum fine of $750. But it can be a maximum of $2,500, as it says here. And you can get as well as up to a year in jail. But I say, you know what, if you got a job, they're more than likely going to be like, can you pay the fine? Okay, we'll put you on a pay, this much a month. How much can you afford? That's literally, how much can you afford a month? And you tell them, and they write down how much you got to pay a month. And then you sit on your payments until it's eventually done. Just because it says November 27, 2015, that this is still in full effect for paraphernalia. You get caught with paraphernalia, it's still a Class A misdemeanor. Especially right now, it's going to suck even worse because, well, you'll see towards the end of the episode. Let's see, adult use cannabis summary. This is something that actually I found this page, and this is something I'm going to be definitely leaving down in the description so that you can see the full document of this adult use cannabis, because it's from a .gov, and dear God, I found a summary of something, and it was beautiful because you don't find a lot of summaries. They're not as easily found for some godly reason. This, or maybe it's unique, I don't know. But the following summarizes the major elements of HB 1438, the Cannabis Regulation and Tax Act. Personal use of cannabis starting January 1st, 2020. Adults over 21 will be able to legally purchase cannabis for recreational use from licensed dispensaries across the state. It doesn't really say it there either, but it's also referring to legal use in your home. Recreational use in your home. You'd have to be on private property, pretty much. You can't be out on public. But possession limits for Illinois residents, and mind you, this is not saying on your person. This means period. That's how I take it as, because that's what it says, word for word. 30 grams of cannabis of flower, so that's about an ounce. So if you have more than an ounce, period, make sure, I guess, get your scales so whenever you're, when you go through so much, how much more you can go get. So you're not, I don't know. Maybe it doesn't really matter, and so long as you don't expect the cops to be showing up at your house anytime soon and possibly walking in and, asking you how much pot you have. 5 gram, no more than 5 grams of cannabis concentrate, which is like wax, dabs, shatter, crumble, the concentrates. No more than 500 milligrams of THC contained in a cannabis-infused product, referencing towards like edibles or possibly even the capsules, but I would still technically count those as edibles. Registered patients in the medical cannabis pilot program may possess more than 30 grams of cannabis if it is grown and secured in their residence under certain conditions. And that kind of goes with the growing thing too. You gotta be part of that medical cannabis pilot program in order to grow that whole 5-plant thing. If you ain't a part of that, then you're not allowed to be growing. You're not supposed to. So you can get in trouble for it, basically what I'm saying. Out-of-towners. Possession limit for non-Illinois residents is 15 grams of cannabis flower, which is half ounce. 2.5 grams of cannabis, no more than 250 milligrams of THC contained in a cannabis-infused product. The possession limits are to be considered cumulative, meaning if you got an ounce and then you got a couple grams or more, a couple grams of concentrate, the wax, oh, yep, you broke the limit, you're in trouble. That's against the law. So, there's still a lot, though, to get through, and this is a site that I found pretty damn informative. I liked it a lot. This is normal.org, norml.org, and like I said, be leaving a link to this directly, of course, in the description, because this one has a lot of info on it pertaining to penalties, the offense, penalty, incarceration, max fine. This is very detailed and well put together. Possession. Now, possession, this is after, by the way, after January 1st, 2020. This is not current. Currently, we still have 3.5 months. Currently, we're still looking at decriminalized, laws in the sense of, a small fine for at least your first time and then who knows what after. But 30 grams or less after January 1st, no penalty. No incarceration, no fine. There is no penalty. It's not illegal to have 30 grams or less, so long as you keep it you have to have it in the container that it came in, that you got from the dispensary. Let's see, if you have more than 30 grams and under 100 grams for your first offense, it's a misdemeanor. It's a year, possible incarceration, and a maximum fine of $2,500. Now, I'm going to really presume that misdemeanor is the misdemeanor class A. And so that it doesn't really say it there, but there very well could be a minimum fine to that. Like, $500, like it was how it used to be for the marijuana fine period, for the smaller amounts. They very well, and that's most likely what they've done. Now, however, this is where it gets kind of crazy. If you have more than 30 grams, less than 100, a second time, if you get caught with it for a second time, it's a felony. It's the lowest grade of felony, but it's a state felony. 1 to 3 years of possible incarceration and up to a maximum of $25,000. So if you break that 30-gram limit twice and get caught for it, that's pretty freaking substantial. That definitely, I would say that would motivate me to not make sure that I didn't have over 30 grams. Especially at one time, especially if you're out and about, man, don't do that. You're getting so much trouble. And down here, there's not even if you have over 100 grams, you're felony. Same thing as your second offense for more than 30. But it's harsh. More than 500 to 2,000. Okay, now that kind of looks like you're not rolling the world's biggest blunt. All right, you're up to something else. So it goes on to cover sale and trafficking, cultivation. 5 plants or less for personal use. It's a violation. $200. So I guess if you get caught and if you don't have that medical marijuana pilot program, and you are growing 5 or less plants, it's just wait a minute, hold on, 5 plants or less. Oh, register with the medical. But yeah, if you don't have the fucking medical cannabis patient, it's a $200 fine. That actually ain't too damn bad. It's just a violation. It's not even like, that's a civil violation. That's not even a misdemeanor to go on your record. It's like a traffic stop. So that's kind of, I guess if you want to tolerate, the risk of the $200 fine, you can grow your own, but more than 5, if it's 5 to 20 plants, you're felony. If you got more than 5 plants, it automatically goes up to felony. Goes straight from civil violation to felony. Damn. That's kind of a jump, isn't it? Paraphernalia. Now this is kind of interesting for what's going to be coming about. Possession of paraphernalia with more than 10 grams of marijuana. Misdemeanor, 1 year, $252,500 maximum fine. It also is going to have the minimum. It's going to have that minimum $750 there. This is so basically, in order to get in trouble at this point, if you have paraphernalia on you and you have marijuana with you, then yeah, you're going to get in trouble for whatever reason. Now, this also depends on, like, say you have less than 10 grams. Well, we'll get to that. Because, like I said, I went ahead, I actually called the local police department, and I was asking questions. Down here, you have all more detailed explanations, and they even, like, provide the .gov locations for the bills and the acts, and so you can actually see the word for word verbatim. Paraphernalia, possession of marijuana paraphernalia in cases where the marijuana possessed was 10 grams or less is a civil violation punishable by a fine between $100 to $200. So that finally gets knocked down, I guess, after January 1st, and that's provided, and what that's like 10 grams is just over a quarter. So yeah, have like, less than a quarter, and if you have a paraphernalia for marijuana, you could still catch, $100 to $200 fine, because you're not supposed to have it outside of your house. That's going to be one of the big things too. You can have it at your house, but you can't have it outside of your house, like running around with it. Possession of paraphernalia in cases where the marijuana possessed was more than 10 grams. Yeah, see, as well as a minimum, Class A misdemeanor punishable by 1 year in prison, as well as a minimum $750 fine. Basically, they're just bringing up the standards. Like, instead of just like, if you just have a pipe, if you just have a marijuana pipe, you're nowadays, like right now, even still, until that 3.5 months gets through, you get caught with paraphernalia, it's an automatic, it's that minimum $750 fine. It's pretty freaking harsh. And, I mean, it doesn't have to be a one hitter, I mean, a Zeppelin, freaking a little bat. It doesn't matter. A fucking dugout, I mean, anything that contains pot, it's going to be paraphernalia. So I think that's kind of a plus, that it is coming down somewhat, so long as you don't possess too much marijuana on your person at the same time as possessing paraphernalia. Now, if you go into, eventually I did find this too. We're going to kind of skip over. We're still talking about paraphernalia. But what I had talked about, expungement, that was the big thing. That was really my motivating point to look at all this. And it got me looking at all this other stuff that we've already been through. Synopsis as introduced amends the Criminal Identification Act, provides that notwithstanding any other provision relating to expungement or conviction records, a petitioner may petition to the circuit court to expunge records of a conviction or plea of guilty for possession of not more than 10 grams of any substance containing cannabis, or possession of drug paraphernalia seized in relation to the possession of not more than 10 grams of any substance containing cannabis before July 29th, 2016. If 3 years or more have passed since the petitioner has completed his or her sentence. Basically, if you got hit with paraphernalia and you had more than 10 grams of marijuana on you by chance as well, and you got charged with that as well, can't get it off. If you were charged, or if you were, the verdict came to after July 29th, and they, you pleaded guilty or whatever, it was all finalized after July 29th, 2016, you cannot get it expunged. Only, it is so specific. So actually, all those people out there who got, just a paraphernalia charge just because they had the one hitter or something on them, that right there, 700. Do you know how insane that is? Something that's smaller than a pen that's going to bring you over, really over $1,000 in fines, because court costs and lab testing to test the product, to make sure that, or to test the thing to make sure what it is, and that adds up to well over $1,000, easy. So, but yeah, that like I said, it's going to be a plus. There's a light at the end of the tunnel here, but at the same time, some people are still kind of getting screwed. I don't understand why the limit, why they broke it off at July 29th, but considering that paraphernalia is still technically illegal to be out running around with, that very well could be why. It's just basically those of us before July 29th, that were convicted or pled guilty to such a charge, they're now lucky enough to be able to get that expunged, or at least petition to have it expunged, which if that's the only thing that's really there, then it should be no problem. You just got to pay for the lawyer. So that kind of sucks. I even went ahead and I called my local police department and asked them questions about this, about like transporting it, since it's going to be legal, what can you get away with? What if, what if I want to take my bong to my friend's house, or my zong, I'm trying to encompass everybody here. What if I'm wanting to take it over to my friend's house and hang out there for the evening and not leave, but I want to smoke there? Man, like that's real risky. Like you can't, you're not supposed to have the marijuana and the smoking apparatus together. Now, however, if you have it in your container, it becomes really, honestly, as far as the law states, it's illegal. Be walking around with over, you can still get even for the small amounts, but if you're over 10 grams and you got paraphernalia, it's the big fine. If it's under 10 grams, it's a small fine, civil violation. But that's going to be one of the big deciding factors there for you. If you got over 10 grams, you're probably going to get a ticket. Like if you got pulled over and even if you had it in your trunk, like you would with alcohol, they're still going to write you a ticket for it, and you're going to be paying a bunch of money. Whereas you won't be paying a ticket for the pot. You're going to be paying a ticket for the damn smoking apparatus. So, which is still, to me, so screwed up. But they don't want people, like I said, they don't want you taking it out of your home. They want you doing, if you're going to be smoking recreationally, they want you to recreationally smoke at home, in the comfort of your home, and, the privacy of your home. Which is kind of understandable. I don't really want, some dipshit trying to drive down the road doing bong rips. No thank you. And you know what? I don't know about you, but I've seen it done. I've known people who have done it too. It's like, it was back in the day, but it really makes me question, why. I mean, some people almost deserve their paraphernalia charges just because it was so stupid. It wasn't just like a chance coincidence where you got popped with it, and that was all it was. Here's your ticket. Have a good day. Oh, thanks. Great. Yeah, there's not going to be, I wouldn't suggest taking it out. So there's that. That would be my conclusion to the whole thing. Don't take the damn paraphernalia out of your house. You can get it, have it in the house, keep it in your house, just like walking around. You can't be out and being intoxicated. That's another thing too. Obviously if you're high, if you've burnt marijuana and you smell like it and you're in a vehicle, DUI. If you're out in public and you smell like burnt marijuana, public intoxication, by the way. That one too. Yeah, that's a little fun. So you have to be at home. You have to be in a controlled area. But at least they're not railing you, and you're actually legal to buy it. So that's a big plus, Details probably to iron out as we go down the road. But I don't know. I hope I've been informative and educational to you, and because I was happy to figure out that, it sucks. I'll say it just sucks that people after July 29th, 2016, you're fucked. No, screw you. You don't get to petition for it. That's rough, man. And also prior to that, if you had a half ounce with you in a bowl, you can't get it off there either. So, there are stipulations, limitations, always. I hope you enjoyed the episode. Thank you for watching, and until next time, I'll see you then.